Hi, everybody. Welcome to Metaphysical Meltdown. So happy to see everybody today. Good morning, evening, afternoon, global friends. Don't know where you're coming in to see this from, but here we are together. It's Easter day for me. It's Easter afternoon, actually. Gail, it's a little later. So we're welcoming Gail Alexander today, and so happy to have her. She is a interdimensional artist and guide, an intuitive, a healer, a medium, an author, and a life coach. And she makes those glorious mandalas that you might have been seeing. I post those all the time, and they are really something. She's going to teach us about them today and talk to us about maybe some support around what's going on with folks these days. And I'm just going to get right into it. So Gail, thank you so much for being here today. Welcome.
Well, thank you for having me back. It's always fun to do these.
It's been a while. It was last spring, maybe?
I think so. Yeah.
So were you on the radio or on the podcast with me? I can't remember.
Podcast.
Okay.
Podcast.
Yeah, I'm really liking these podcasts, and thanks everybody for tuning in. We try to make them short and sweet, keep people's interest. I try to talk a very minimum. So tell us about yourself, if you would.
Well, one of the things about myself, as you read from my intro, I am very blessed to have a lot of gifts in this lifetime. I brought them all back with me. I've spent many lifetimes getting to what's happening in the world right now and training for what's happening. And it's funny because I woke up this morning and Spirit gave me a message. So I've been trying to draw, I think since mid-March, a picture a day, a mandala a day. And they told me that all the mandalas from January till present are going to be a book for healing.
Oh.
And I was looking at all the names of the pictures, and it was really interesting because it was a theme building, and the energy started coming in November last year, 2019, which is really interesting because they told us the COVID virus and everything didn't come to the United States till later. But it came in November because I drew this amazing healing picture, like no other healing picture I'd ever drawn before. And it was a complex healing matrix. I'd never seen anything like that. And it was literally 3-dimensional and looked like parts of the picture were raising up. And so then I was looking back at other pictures, and then December 28th, I drew a picture called Wakey Wakey, that it was time for us all to start to wake up. And then the beginning pictures in January were like welcoming to the energy of January. And then the things that I noticed, which was really interesting to me, I wrote it down, was breathing, love, healing, grounding, illuminating, connecting, and lifting up. And that's exactly what we've been through this first 4 months of the year.
Absolutely. I remember listening to a wonderful channel from our area, Nancy Rebecca, and she was telling us last year about 2020 being the year of coming together, that it was all about community. And I know a lot of us from years back knew that there were going to be many passing in some way, with many coming in. New souls coming in. I remember thinking, I don't know how that's going to go, but it feels right. Mm-hmm. And one of the things, and then I'm going to be very quiet in a moment, but one of the things I love about all the different people I've been interviewing is we all have such a complete different way of looking at things. Mm-hmm. And I love your art because it makes us feel something when we take a look at it. So awesome. So are you prepared to show a couple things, or what did you?
I could actually try. Let me see if the share the screen feature works.
Uh-oh. Oh, look at that. Well, I can see it.
Does it fill up the whole screen? I don't want to show the rest of it. Okay.
Lifting up.
Yeah. These are yesterday's.
Okay.
What came through yesterday. So again, that lifting up. I didn't know it was going to be a series of 3. I drew the first one in the morning, and I'm like, oh, well, that one's really cool. I just like that one. Mm-hmm. And then in the afternoon, I drew the light shield, which was to protect us. And I'm like, okay, so there's 2. And then last night, I drew the healing light one, so that the 3 of those went together, because we need to be lifted. Then we need to learn to shield and keep that level in that frequency and that vibration. And then our bodies need to be healed and our DNA and everything needs to be healed. So that was what came through yesterday.
And how long does it take you to put one of these together?
When I draw them, it can be anywhere from 2 hours to, depending on what energy I'm working with, 45 minutes.
Okay.
It depends how fast they want to draw them. It's really interesting when I start to draw. Oftentimes I'm not, I think it's funny. They don't let me get up and go to the bathroom or stop. Like once I'm in the flow of energy and a mandala is starting to be created, I usually have to finish it from start to finish. So sometimes I'm not even allowed bathroom breaks.
Wow. Okay. I think that's true for some of us. Usually my guys will say, stay right there. This is what's coming in. So it's kind of, it's similar.
Well,
Interesting.
a portal gets opened, and if you get up to do something else, it breaks the flow of that energy. And sometimes it needs to come in completion before you can get up and do anything else. And I've learned to be very respectful of the process. Do you want me to leave this up for the whole interview, or?
Pardon me?
Do you want me to leave the picture up for the whole interview, or you want me to?
Do you have more to show?
I don't have any others kind of, let's see.
That's okay if you don't, because you can send them to me. And when I put up your interview, I will put up some more.
I will tell you what, I will share the Christ consciousness one that came through today on Easter. So let's see, share screen. I'm not gonna be able to do that.
That's okay. Just send it to me afterwards.
Okay.
We are in the flow. It's interesting that you brought up the shielding, that was so important end of the year and beginning of the year for so many of us, is we had to learn that we were porous and that we had the possibility of having things, energy attaching and, not like it used to be. It's not quite so, so hard on us. We just need to be aware that we're always clearing and shielding and grounding. And
well, one of the most fascinating things for me is I moved about a year ago, and I moved into this new apartment in a building that I've always wanted to live in. As soon as I moved, the day after I moved in, somebody's toilet seal broke and I had a flood for a month. And then something else happened and something else happened. And the most interesting thing to me is that I look out on a parking lot, which is the parking lot they're using for the staging area for the COVID testing at the facility half a block away. Now, the fascinating thing to me is I've taken my mandalas and I've put them in all my windows. And I live on the 9th floor, so I'm beaming that energy down to all the healthcare workers and things like that. But the thing that's fascinating to me is the most cars I've ever seen is in the morning, right when they open, and the most I've ever seen is 12. And then throughout the day, randomly, since I'm home right now working, there'll be 2 cars here, 2 cars there. And I don't know what it is about this. Well, I do know what it is about this testing facility, is because I'm creating this force field and this shield. So this one doesn't seem to be as popular.
Okay. That is great. You're supporting them with your art. I love that.
Yeah, I have them in my living room windows. So there's like 7 different pictures. And then I have them in my bedroom. So on either side of where I am.
Okay. And I can really feel the energy coming off of those, of all the art when I look at them. They make me feel really good in different parts of my body.
Well, I drew specific pictures for the virus, and I actually drew the first one in March 11th, before everything really started to hit. And I didn't call it, aid for the coronavirus. I called it immunity and respiratory support. And then later on, I'd never really drawn RNA chains before. I've drawn a lot of DNA pictures. So then I created this healing RNA picture, and then I put the 2 of them together. So I'll send you those so that you can have those if you want to show them. during this. And then the day after the global meditation was the most fascinating one to me, because, you know, I don't know how many people actually connected for the global meditation, but it was huge. And they actually have scientific data of the spike in the energy of the planet from all those people connecting. But the one the day after that was the most amazing picture I think I've drawn in a long time.
Did you feel, besides getting that information, did you feel that the next day was really something also energetically?
Yeah. Well, I drew this picture the next day, the 5th, and then the pictures have been amped up again. And like I was telling you before we started, my spirit team told me I'm going to take all the pictures from January through the end of April, and I'll turn them into probably an ebook
Okay.
that'll be available if people want to work with the different energies and frequencies. So that's what I've been up to.
How many books have you written?
I've written 2 books. The first one was called I Don't Know How I Know, I Just Know. And then part 2 is called I Still Know What I Know. And part 3, when I ever sit down to write, it'll be I Don't Want to Know Anymore.
Oh.
I'm just kidding. I don't know what part 3 will be called yet. And then I drew a book about the energy of some crystals. And then I drew a book about healing humanity that's all just pictures. I didn't write any words with that because I wanted people to interpret the pictures how they wanted to interpret them.
That is beautiful. That's what everyone is attempting pretty hard to understand, that we know just as well as those who are, you know, that used to be the gurus. We all know, don't we?
Well, my favorite meme that I saw on Facebook not too long ago, because by trade I'm a therapist, so I'm helping people still. We're doing telehealth with the program that I still work in. So was we're all a wise guru in charge of a mental patient.
I love that.
It's kind of true, isn't it?
I
We
love
all have that wise part of ourselves, that higher part, and we're all a little crazy. So.
Oh, we sure are. And isn't it fun? It is just fun. Well, I appreciate the hard work that you do in your day job, your muggle job. And I know that right now people are having such a hard time. There's grief and anxiety and just loss, sadness, fear, you know. What kinds of ways have you been supporting people in your job in the daytime?
In my therapy job, it's just talking through it. We do a lot of DBT, which is dialectical behavior therapy, and giving people coping skills to use. And, you know, I think people are actually, if they were to stop, connecting more now virtually than they did in person. Because you're by yourself usually, because if they're in our program, they have to be in a room by themselves where they're on the computer, because otherwise it's a HIPAA violation. So we make sure that everybody, you know, is by themselves, so nothing's being overheard by anyone if they're living with other people. But that taking away everything and you just being present with you, I think changes the dynamics. Because when you're in a room full of people doing groups, there's so many distractions going on from other people, or someone's looking at their cell phone, which they're not supposed to be doing, but it happens all the time, or they're fidgeting, or something's happening. But when you're looking at them on the computer screen and they're in a room by themselves, 1, we get to see a different side of them, and 2, we get to help them with them being in their house, which a lot of times people have problems with. So.
Definitely. Just that's what I think is coming up right now, is just the sitting with oneself. And what is it like to be alone and not have a schedule? And how do we handle that? Do you overeat? Do you drink? Do you, what, you know, all kinds of things have come up for the folks that I've been talking to, certainly. And so when you do that type of therapy, could you tell us 1 or 2 things that you talk about?
Well, right now we're just making sure everybody's safe at home and feeling supported and feeling connected. I think those are the really big things right now. A lot of the people that I'm working with right now are really struggling with feeling that, especially if they're living by themselves. So just making sure that they still feel that sense of connection and that sense of belonging and knowing that this isn't going to last forever. Eventually, we'll all be let out of our houses again. And it's really interesting. I was talking to someone else, and the spirit team that I work with likes to give me things in song titles or movies. Like they used to make me watch the movie The Core a lot. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, but it's a really cool movie that we screwed up the core of the planet, and there's this team of scientists that build this ship to go down into the center of the earth to fix the core. If you haven't seen it, it's a really cool movie. But the new one that they're talking a lot about is The Last Mimsy.
Okay.
The Last Mimsy, it's Mimzy. It was from 2007. A lot of the ending of the movie, when you see the ending of the movie, you'll understand why that's the one that's going through my head right now. I don't want to give it away.
Okay. No, I've not seen either of them. I've
really
missed a lot of movies in my lifetime.
A lot of metaphysical ones that have a lot of value and merit right now, but so I actually own the movie because I bought it when it first came out. So I rewatched it last night and I'm like, okay, I understand why this is going through my head right now.
I love that. I love how they get your attention and the little things. I had something amazing happen today where my guides gave me a very specific type of animal, quite unusual. And I went ahead and told the person I was working with, this is the animal. Of course, it totally meant something to her. And, when you see, it wasn't this, but if you see, a blue giraffe, it tends to be a comforting thing that comes through. They're trying to teach us something with that memory or that song. And I love that. It's beautiful. Makes us feel.
When I'm not grounded, they love to sing to me the Blades plug it in commercial to get me to ground myself.
Oh my gosh. Isn't it something? They have such a great sense of humor. They really do. Sometimes, and puns are big too, it seems like.
Yeah.
The other day, go ahead.
When I was leaving one of my jobs, it was an unhealthy environment for me. They sang the song for 3 weeks, The Final Countdown by Europe. So like every time I was alone, they would start singing that. And then I would walk around singing that song out loud at work. And everyone's like, stop singing that. You're leaving.
I can't. Oh my gosh. The other day I was talking with Jesus and he said something and I said, are you sure? And he said, I am. And I went, oh, that's so bad. That's me. I'm an Aquarius. Are you sure? You asking? Kind of crazy. Oh my gosh. Well, so how long have you been working with that intuitive side, the mediumship sort of part of you?
Well, when I was little, I was very intuitive. The famous story is I told my parents my grandfather was going to die of a massive coronary, and he died 2 weeks later. And then my mom had a stillborn, and they told us the baby was really sick. And I said, why do you keep telling us? The baby's already crossed over on the other side and is with God. So then I basically wasn't allowed to talk for a long period of my life because people were afraid of what I was going to say. And so I shut off all my gifts. And then they started to come back in my 20s. I was doing my internship in an eating disorder program, and it was lunchtime, and my grandfather, the one who died when I was 5, and I could never remember what he looked like, was sitting across the room from me, just smiling at me. And then I found out my other grandfather was having a heart attack that day.
Oh, okay.
So that's when it really started to come back. And then, so it came back sporadically for 10 years. And then I took some opening to intuition courses. Be careful what you ask for. That's all I'll say is the first day, I think in the class, I had 4 nosebleeds because when I get like information and I'm a really high frequency, my nose will start bleeding. And I had 4 the first day.
Oh, wow.
I saw my third eye reopen. Then I got this download of the history of the world and how everything was made and the pyramids in Egypt and all of that. And yeah, so. And ever since then, it's been kind of full force.
Wow, the nosebleeds, that's pretty serious too. That's amazing.
Yeah, when people I know are going to die too, I'll get a nosebleed. When my other grandfather died when I was in my 20s, I got 3 that day.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a coworker who no one could find him, and they were talking about it, and my nose started bleeding, and I didn't say anything because I knew how they were going to find him.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't for me to say at that point. And then a couple days later, my one coworker said to me, "You knew, didn't you?" Mm-hmm. But it wasn't mine to tell you.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
I did want to share that I've been really good about not going out, but I had to go to my office briefly on Tuesday this week. And I'm trying really hard not to go out because every time I go out, I feel the collective fear and it literally paralyzes me. So if you do go out or if you're walking around and all of a sudden you notice that you're starting to feel fearful, really check to see if it's yours or if you're picking up just that barrage of energy that's out in the world right now, because there is so much fear right now. And what we really need to combat this is love, because fear weakens the immune system, which is partly why it's spreading so quickly and so fast, is because when you're in fear, things can attach much quicker than they could if our immune systems were healthy.
What would you tell people to do when they're picking up on fear like that?
I usually, to clear myself, I imagine myself standing under a violet colored waterfall, and I practice in the shower in the morning. Sometimes it's little trickles of water and sometimes it's a huge deluge. And then I ask the water to gently wash away what's not mine.
Okay. Oh, that's beautiful. Beautiful. I've also noticed besides grief and fear, there's been a lot of anger.
Mm-hmm.
You have an awesome way people can release that?
For anger, well, if you're home, a cool activity to do is to take ice cubes and throw them in your shower stall or bathtub and say all the things that are making you angry as you throw them. Because the studies show that the act of throwing releases anger. Even in nursing homes, they give people cotton balls to throw.
Oh,
So any type of throwing things, ripping paper can be really good too. Write it down and rip it up. Lots of different ways. But I like the throwing, that works for me.
that's really good.
And
Awesome.
it makes a lot of noise, and it cleans itself up.
Yes, exactly.
Water balloons, I used to have people go outside and draw with sidewalk chalk and then bomb the hell out of it with water balloons, all the things that they were angry about.
Oh, so in my neighborhood, we already have the bad words on the sidewalk. No, actually, I'm just kidding. There's kids we live in sort of a 3-street cul-de-sac. And on each street, it seems like there's little kids that are writing cool things, supportive messages and stuff. I love that.
Yeah.
Great. I mean, Tacoma has kind of a rep of being, a tough town. I found so many cool people in Tacoma, and I didn't see very many people out in the street. I had my big treat of a coffee today. And I think people are taking it seriously, the staying at home thing, and cleaning and organizing and cleaning my rocks. That's what I did today.
Well, I think it's all about us just figuring out what our new normal is going to be, because we're never going to be able to go back to what we were and live how we used to live. And I think one of the things is that this is a big spiritual lesson for everybody. Yes, there's a virus around. There's also much more going on in the world than just this virus. The virus is kind of the thing to keep us all busy right now, while other things in the world are changing. And I'm not saying that to instill fear. Some of the changes are about us just realizing that we are more capable as human beings than we think we are. We have more gifts than we think we do. We're more connected than we think we are, and we've lost our way. The thing that I find the most interesting is how the earth is finally healing itself. Like you've seen, like I just saw the other day that for in 30 years you haven't been able to see the Himalaya mountains, and now you can see those. And I don't know if you saw that clear picture from LA where you
Yeah,
could see blue sky and white clouds. I mean, that's amazing to watch, because as the earth's able to breathe again, we're going to be able to breathe again. If we, you know, we live on the earth. And if the earth can't breathe, we can't breathe. And I think people forget that. And I think people forget that we're still connected to the earth, that we're part of this, we're guests. And how do we want to act?
absolutely. And I'm just hoping people are taking this time to go outside.
Mhm.
I believe that people are going to be changed by this. And I'm hoping that we remember some of these things that we learned, such as what do we need? I mean, be a lower consumer for one. I was reading something yesterday that said a lot of the 3D companies are really going to be trying to get us to consume once the world opens back up, to try to bring back some profits that they lost during that time. And so it's kind of up to us to remember how little that we needed right now. How little.
I think the thing that we need the most that we often don't think about is actual connection. Like, so many people are talking virtually, just like we're doing right now. It's not texting, it's talking. You can see the person. We've forgotten how to do that as a society. Everyone has been buried in their phones and just, texting. You lose so much by texting that we need to learn to have conversations again. We need to learn to connect from a heart space again. And some of this is a lesson to do all that.
I think that's very true. Have you noticed, because I really decided I'm going to show up during this time. I'm going to call people, I'm going to text people, I'm going to help people online. I decided that. And it seems to be working for me, and I've been helping folks and they seem to like it. However, I have noticed that there are folks that have great difficulty in actually calling me back. And I'm thinking that those are the folks that might need it the most. I don't want to be a pest. So I just every once in a while say, how you doing? And we have a little chat. But I think that you are so very right. I love being able to see your face. You have such compassion in your face. You are just a trustworthy person. I mean, if I didn't know you from Adam, I would still look at that face and say, you know what? I can tell you all the awful things I did in past lives. You probably already know them anyway, but I'm just saying.
You, you know, I like to be very respectful, so I don't look at people unless they give me permission to. Every now and then when I'm interacting with someone, like there'll be messages going through my head and I'll have to say it because they won't stop unless I do. But for the most part, I don't look at people's energy fields. I don't do anything unless someone asks me a specific question, because it makes people uncomfortable. They're like, you can read my mind, can't you? And I'm like, no, I can read your energy field, and I'm just not doing that right now. Like all the patients I know that I've worked with, they all wonder, like, because it comes up from time to time. They're like, are you psychic? And depending on where I've worked, I've had to answer that question differently. And I'm just like, I've been a therapist for a really long time. I also am very trained to know what to look for and how to help you move beyond where you are. There's not much that rattles me as a therapist. I mean, I've heard a lot over the last 25 years, so it's not much that rattles me.
That is such a great point to come up to bring up, because truly it's kind of a no-no to be looking in someone's energy when they don't ask you to do it. That's kind of a no-no. And people say that all the time. We might be having lunch or something, and they'll say, but you already knew that, right? Are you reading me right now? I'm eating right now. Seriously, we are not on. If you're not on, you're not on.
Well, and I have people every now and then, I have friends who like test me to see
Oh,
what information I get. I get really tired of that. You know, I'm very good nature. I'd probably give everything away. I have friends who tell me you need to stop giving so much away, and but this is the time to do it. I have a friend who just reached out to me yesterday, actually. She's a nurse at one of the big hospitals here, and she's like, one of my coworkers is, on a vent, and has COVID. Will you send energy? I'm like, absolutely. You know, if this isn't the time to use your gifts and what you came back with, I don't know a better time to do that.
yes, it is. It feels like the time to show up. It
Mhm,
also felt when I woke up this morning like something woo really big. So I got up at 3 to
mhm.
do a meditation. Then I went back to bed. Then I dreamed about Shaquille O'Neal. I have no idea. But when I woke up and I started like running energy, which is one of the first things I do when I wake up, I thought, oh, today is big. Did you feel that today?
Yeah, I felt it yesterday, and we were talking yesterday, 411 information. Yeah.
Yes.
And today, is, if you celebrate Easter, what all those messages are. Culturally, I grew up Jewish, so Easter doesn't really mean a whole lot to me, even though I'm very connected to Christos energy or the Christ consciousness. Um, but, I think it's just about connecting, whatever that looks like for you, and refinding what grounds you and what connects you and how you want to be going forward. I think this is a reset for all of us, and it's what we want to do with it. That's time's going to tell as a society and as a global consciousness what we decide to do.
I think so. And I'm hoping, I really feel, I should just put that out there. I really feel there's enough people right now that get it, that
There's
are
a
open
critical
to it.
mass that gets it. There didn't
Yes.
used to be. There's enough now that do, and we saw that with the global meditation. What I
Yes.
didn't understand is why we don't do that every week. Why they don't try and get the same group of people to hold that frequency and that vibration every week.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, I know why it was that day because a portal opened, but okay, the portal opened, we all did it that day. Why not continue it? Why not continue to bring that in every week or once a month to keep global consciousness moving in a different direction? I was thinking about that this morning.
I think that's something I would love to talk to you about because it's been in my, at the back of my mind when the portal dates occur to do something like that.
Mhm.
Because as most people know, I and Ann Mukherjee from California opened up our Facebook page called Hands of Light, and we are having the best time sending out prayers and healing.
Mhm.
And at 7 p.m. at night, Ann always does a prayer, 7:11 to 7:22. And oh my gosh, people say they can feel that like crazy. And so that's kind of a thing that she's been doing for quite a while here. And we opened up that page because we realized we had so many people on our own personal list, my daily list of who I was praying for. I thought, this is a lot better if you can get a whole bunch of people doing it. You know how that is? That just amps it up. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about doing that.
Yeah.
There are
If
so,
not, at least I'm hearing like the 9th of every month. So the 9th, the 19th, the 29th,
okay.
because 9 is all about completion. So,
Mhm. It's exciting time, I think. I think we need to be really creative. My guides tell me that all the time. They show me a specific symbol, and it means the more creative we can be, the more our doggone brain gets out of the way, and the more the energy can come in.
mhm,
And that's what we want to do.
mhm.
So, can you think of anything you would like to say in the waning moments of our chat together?
I would just like to tell humanity to hang in there, that things are going to get better, that we are going to figure our way out of this, that there's more going on behind the scenes than anyone can imagine on both sides. And it's about just being and learning that you're enough, even if you're producing in a different way. You still deserve to be here. You chose to be here at this time. So take this experience for the soul lesson that it's meant to be right now.
Beautiful. I love that. Thanks so much. Come on anytime. Just, I think I'm going to be doing this in the future. I
Okay.
like these little interviews, and there's so many people out there that can support people, and I think you really did a lot. So thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Want to thank everybody for
Bye.
spending this few minutes with us. Keep on coming back. I've got a whole bunch of people in the hopper. So not sure if today, if this will, if it will still be Easter when this comes out. But I want to say happy Easter to everybody who celebrates. Happy spring. Go outside. Turn your TV off. Love everybody.
Bye.